In life, there are those who do and those who do more. Just
Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. I'm your host, Wim Liu. I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. Big win over the Bulls yesterday. You and I are down at Scotiabank Arena to take in the there's a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, to be honest, because, the Raptors were playing inconsistently. But, you know, given the news that Pascal was going to be out for at least 2 weeks with an adductor strain, you can kind of expect some inconsistency in their performance. Ultimately, they were able to get the job done with a really nice win. What are your emotions this Monday morning, Alex?
Yeah, you know, it wouldn't be a trip to the arena with you without a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yesterday was really no different.
Oh, okay.
From any other day, but I think that was my favorite Raptors win of the season.
Really?
You know, especially given the circumstances, like you mentioned, with Pascal's injury and them fighting back from a double-digit deficit in the second quarter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was a back-and-forth game in the fourth quarter there, and looked like the Raptors, felt like the Raptors had taken control for a little bit there in the third, let the lead slip away at the end of the quarter, and for them to fight back, in that final 5 minutes, like Nick Nurse before the game yesterday was talking about how they're probably going to miss Pascal the most in late game situations.
Yeah.
And you wonder who's going to step up. And, it's the usual suspects. Fred VanVleet apparently won't be sent to the bench, despite all requests. And OG Anunoby stepped up as well.
Yeah.
And it was just great to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, you can kind of expect exactly that, right? Like, you had to make up the absence of Pascal in the aggregate, and I think that a lot of players stepped up for you. I think more importantly, the Raptors won the possession battle. I know it's less exciting. You don't come into a basketball game. You don't buy tickets to the Raptor game like a month in advance, and then you think about it. You come pregame, you watch players shoot, and you're like, damn, I wonder who's going to win the possession battle tonight. But that's really important for the Raptors to
Blake
win
Murphy
games.
Vibes. Blake Murphy Tuesdays back tomorrow.
I saw Blake Murphy back in his home.
Oh,
at the arena yesterday as well.
Was he taking those Zodiac killer notes in his notepad?
For once, no, because he actually had no post-game duties or wasn't writing off the game for once. But it was great to see Blake, obviously, at the arena. But, yeah, like, you got to win the possession battle. And I think that's where the Raptors were really able to just kind of out-hustle the Bulls. I mean, like, the Bulls are not that athletic of a team. They're smaller of a team. And the Raptors got 23 offensive rebounds to 15 for Chicago. And they also had a 17-9 advantage in the turnovers.
Oh, hustle play.
That's what the Raptors need, just extra possessions. One of my favorite plays of the game last night was just, Chris Boucher with a highlight block at the basket.
Okay. Oh, is this the possession of the three guys fighting the ball into the basket?
Then Fred pushes the break.
Misses the layup. Right?
I mean, it was a 1-on-3 break. It wasn't the greatest possession to go in, but I guess he was hoping for the foul. Doesn't get the foul call, goes in for a layup, gets blocked. Thad Young's right there, puts up a putback, doesn't go in. Chris Boucher tips the putback, doesn't go in. Thad Young catches it again, puts it up for another lefty floater, doesn't go in. And then finally, OG, who you can watch on this possession, he's just waiting in the corner this whole time like, guys, I'm wide open for the kick out. Guys, I'm wide open. And then he eventually sees the ball dropping on the ground on his side, and he streaks in from the wing, picks up the ball, and dunks it for one of what felt like 15 dunks the Raptors have had in that game, because there's a lot of dunking going on. And that's the way the Raptors need to play. That extra bit of hustle, that extra bit of energy, the defensive intensity I thought was very strong for the most part. And I don't know, it was a really fun game, and I gotta say, this is a very classic Fred VanVleet Rice game. Yeah, because what were you gonna do? You were gonna go home hungry if Fred VanVleet wasn't Rice in this game.
Yeah, they would have lost this game by 20, I think. without Fred on the court yesterday.
Yeah.
30 points, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, 5 threes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I was going to ask you too, obviously with Pascal out for at least 2 weeks, he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like, if you were to rank the players that need to step in here, like obviously you said it has to be a by committee situation. You're not going to make up, you lose a top 5 player, it's very difficult to make up all the production.
Yeah.
But if you were to rank the players of players who need to step up during this period with Pascal out, I think Fred is number one. I think Fred is gonna carry this team, and he's gonna have to carry this team, I think.
Well, I mean, this game reminded me a lot of games that happened at the start of last season, where
how many minutes did Fred play yesterday?
39 and
that's it?
20 seconds. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Anything under 40 for the next month?
Nick keeping Fred below 40 is
coach of the year material.
Is kind of amazing in this game. By the way, he was a plus 27 in those 39 minutes that he played. Yeah, I mean, look, you don't need him to carry the team in the sense that you don't need him to create everything, but you obviously need him to be playing really well, right? I thought what Fred did a really great job of last night was 2 things. Number one, just his play creation, getting into the paint. It changes everything. Like, it's so simple, but it really is. Even when Fred, who's like only, quite short and got blocked a few times, when he touches the paint, it just shifts the defense over and he's able to kick out, and either, the Raptors are able to hit that 3 or they're able to drive against the closeout and make the next play, which, other guys have done. So you need somebody to actually generate that downhill momentum first. And so Fred was doing a great job of that. And then the other thing too is just like, look, this, at the end of the day, you're playing against NBA athletes and teams that are very well prepared for you. Chicago has some pretty good perimeter defenders. A lot of times you're going to end up in a late shot clock scenario. You're going to have to create something. Right. And it's not that you want the game to come down to that, but at the same time, when those sort of late clock scenarios happen, who is going to get something for you? And I thought Fred did a really great job last night of, look, were they great shots? No, but were they like absolutely backbreakers if you were watching it in Chicago or from that Bulls perspective? Yes, because you had plays where, there's 1 second left on the shot clock. Scotty Barnes swings it across the floor to Fred, pump fake the defender out of the air, and then launches a 3, nails it as the buzzer is sounding. That's a backbreaker. A play where, he's got Goran Dragic one-on-one. Goran just hit a 3. He's feeling good. He's shushing the crowd.
By the way, he shushed him multiple times. I don't know if you saw.
Well, he's also lost multiple times.
No
to
more
the Raptors,
booing Goran, man. This is like the most uninteresting rivalry.
No, it's
ever.
Great.
We need better villains, man.
No, it makes Goran very special.
Our villains are Goran Dragic, Malcolm Brogdon, and Caleb Martin. You know how bad that is? We need better villains. How does Brandeo have a drop for everything?
No, but seriously.
Yes.
But yeah, so Goran splashes a 3. He's giving some momentum to Chicago's side. And then Fred comes back down the floor, hits Goran with the step back, crossover into a step back 3, rattles that in. You had a play in the fourth quarter where Fred was able to sort of go in for an and one where he's like falling sort of off to the side, almost Maxey-esque, the way he was able to just throw it up there and banking him off the glass and one.
This is the ninth straight show you've mentioned Tyrese Maxey.
It's actually
just
disgusting.
Stop. Yeah.
Did you know he's so much in my head?
Did you know it was his birthday last Friday?
Oh man, wow, good for him. Did he turn 44? Anyway, yeah, I mean, he had that 3 where he got fouled by DeMar, and then DeMar got the tech, and then he got all 4 free throws. Like, you just need somebody to create something for you in these type of games because, again, you're not going to run your offense beautifully every single time down. But
yeah, the start of the fourth quarter was pretty hilarious.
Well, Fred wasn't in for the start of the fourth quarter, and that's why he's Rice. You need him in at all times, every meal.
This is what I mean by Fred carrying the team. Like, not necessarily that he has to do everything, but if you need to play a single player 40 minutes and you can only afford, stretches of a couple minutes of him not being on the floor, to me, that's the definition of, like, you needing that player to carry you.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to be on the floor at all times, basically.
Yeah,
except for
VanVleet is Rice.
It's actually Rice. Yeah.
No, but wow, the extended drop is actually kind of nice.
Yo, the sound quality on that drop is so crisp. It doesn't sound like a drop.
VanVleet is Rice.
It's actually Rice. It always sounds like we're just saying it. Anyways, Fred at the top of guys that need to step up in Pascal's absence. I think it's interesting who that next guy is going to be because I think this is the opportunity now for Scotty and OG to take on a bigger role.
Okay. Where I agree with you is this is the time for Scotty to take on a bigger role.
Okay.
For OG, I just want to see him play his role to the best of his ability.
Which I think he's doing right now.
I agree.
Do you think he's doing right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you can nitpick a little bit in terms of the driving, but for the most part, he's giving you so much across the board.
Okay, so OG,
I just want OG to play his role.
Just keep doing
more.
what you're doing.
Yes. You know what I mean? Like, even like the little hustle plays and stuff like that, like, he could still get you 20 points without you swinging the ball to him and asking him to create, right? That's what I don't necessarily want to see because, you know, to be honest, he hasn't been that productive in those cases, but catch and shoot threes, transition, plays where he's stealing the ball like he did twice in the last 5 minutes of the game, and he's able to go the other way for dunks. Those are the kind of plays that I want to see OG shot create. Those are the kind of plays where I want to see OG crash the glass for a putback dunk the way he did at the end of the game. Those are incredible plays, back-breaking plays. As Christian Koloko was saying, can't believe he still has the legs to do a double pump reverse dunk, Svi Vahalik style, by the way, for the real diehard Raptor fans.
Yo, that was the most personality OG has shown on the court, man.
Absolutely. And so it's like that's the kind of shot creation I want to see from OG. The actual like break down the defense and try to initiate and create something for the team. That's what I want to see from Scotty.
Okay.
Right?
Well, how do we get
possessions we going to Scotty?
How do we get more of that from Scotty, man? Because my complaint with Scotty, like, you know, this year, and I think we saw that last season too, is just like, I want him to get off to just quicker starts. He's great in the fourth quarter. He's great in the second half of these games, right?
Sure. Yeah.
How do we get him rolling earlier?
That's a good question. And to be honest, I don't know exactly what is holding him back from that. I think for a lot of people, they have pointed towards, you know, Fred's holding the back, Pascal's holding the back. My counter to that is just like, if you can't play with really good players, then what are you doing in this league? You're not going to win by yourself, right? But more importantly, how do you sort of get him going, right? What are the spots that you want to get him to? Like, if I were to ask you, what is a go-to Scotty Barnes move or a go-to Scotty Barnes possession, what would that look like for you?
Post up a smaller guy, but then shoot a fadeaway. Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with everything except the shoot a fadeaway part.
No, but he does that a lot.
Yeah, you're right. He is settling a lot for these jumpers. He's shooting more on the perimeter altogether. We've seen Nick already talked about it. Nick was like, hey, it's great that you're hitting these threes, but I need you to go to the paint all the time. Right? Even last night, he took 7 threes out of his 19 shots. He took some mid-range shots as well. To be honest, I don't want to see him settling for that mid-range shot. I want to see him driving all the way to the cup. He has enough strength to do it. Maybe there's not enough endurance to do it over and over again. And also, by the way, this is not something that's insignificant. He continues to favor his ankle that he's hurt prior to training camp, and then also once this season already. We saw it against Miami, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if he's not 100% on that front, especially because you saw moments in the fourth quarter where, you know, this is not typical of what you would expect from Scotty's on-ball defense, but Ayo Dosunmu is crossing him over and going all the way to the cup, back-to-back possessions, right? Then you see Pat Williams driving out of the corner against Scotty and getting all the way in for a dunk. Those are possessions where if his ankle and his lateral mobility is great, you're not seeing that happen from him. So I got to give him sort of like that space to obviously not be 100%, but I need to see him create more and more. And I think the post is a great way to do it, right? Especially in this matchup against Chicago. Like, you know, they do have smaller guards. And so you can sort of get at them. But also, it's also the instances where, okay, so what? You got Pat Williams on you, who's like the same size as you. We've seen Scotty move guys out of the way. Like, we even saw last night, Scotty like taking a strong against a couple of guys. And to be honest, it's not even necessarily I need him to always go and take his man and bury him under the basket and dunk the ball like Giannis. We know he's not like that right now. But if Fred can consistently get into the paint, force the defense to collapse, and then kick out, I don't see why Scotty couldn't do the same thing. You know what I mean? Scotty's younger, he's quicker, he's longer, he's bigger. You know, all the promise in the world. More of those type of possessions, less of the ones settling for mid-range. And, you know, the rest of the game is whatever, right? But, I mean, even last night, like, again, he took a lot of jumpers, only took 2 free throws. But the thing is, for Scotty, at least he was able to reach in really deep and in the fourth quarter make a whole bunch of big plays, 2 huge defensive rebounds to lead the team, by the way, with 10 rebounds last night on a bad ankle. Not easy to do. You know, he had the putback dunk late in the game. He had the cut across the lane when Fred got trapped. Scotty was able to pop free and dunk the ball. And he had another play where Scotty was getting trapped. And this time he was able to find a cross-court pass to Fred for 3. So there's a lot of contributions he's still able to do. But I think you just want to see that performance for all 4 quarters. You know, you said before the game, you know, he's got that phrase that he always has to put on social, be great for. You know, you said be great for what?
Did I say that? Or was that Oren or Liban?
No, I thought that was you.
No, I don't think I said that. Oh. Yeah, I was talking to the Raptor mascot. I was just saying Scotty needs to be more aggressive at all times.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I thought you had the great line.
No, I think we got to attribute that to either, you know, Oren Weisfeld or Liban Osman.
All right, well, just what's the line, man? Come on.
I can't take credit for that. But, no, I think I think the
It's
fans.
been great 4 quarters, man.
No,
Come
the
on.
fans. I like that. The fans love Scotty, but I don't think he should be immune to criticism. And I think especially when he's flashing so much potential in these games and in these late game situations, it's only fair to ask for that at all times. Just want him. I just want him to come out with a mentality of like, yo, I'm out here to kill the opposition, man.
No, I mean, it's his team. The responsibility is on him right now, him and Fred collectively, to lead the play creation, right? OG can make plays happen with his defense.
Right.
OG can finish plays off for you. Gary can kind of play create, but you also know when Gary's cold, he's real cold. When he's hot, he's real hot, right? So you just hope that today he's good, but you just don't fully know. The rest of those guys are hustle guys, play, but they're not play creators.
Right.
Fred and Scotty are your play
You
creators.
gotta do
right
better,
now.
fam.
And so, I think it is fair to sort of look at sort of what their new roles are right now and expect them to sort of deliver. And to be honest, they did deliver yesterday. It's not even like we're saying it's wrong. It's just like you do want to see more and more of that because Scotty's also a pretty great play finisher. He's gotten better at shooting threes. He's almost at 40% from 3 this season, and he's shooting 4 a game.
Okay.
That's pretty good. That's an important improvement in his game. But at the same time, you also want to see him create for others, right? So those are the kind of things you want to look for. But also, first and foremost, I just hope his ankle is okay, right? Because you also just don't want to jeopardize further injuries because you already got Pascal out, you got Fred missing time, you got Scotty missing time, Chris Boucher missed some time. He didn't start the season on time.
Yeah, Otto was
out. Kem Birch is out. Malachi's wearing a mask. That's 7 guys. There's only 15 on the roster.
The Raptors have been pretty snake bit in that department. I feel like the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like we've rarely gone like 2 weeks full without like an injury to a rotation play or a starter.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'm saying this has been like 3 weeks of the season, and 7 guys have had injuries to varying extents.
And the Pistons are coming up.
Oh, brother. Brother.
Start Jeff Dowd Jr. Don't doubt him.
All right.
Anyways, OG Anunoby, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging 3.1 steals per game this season.
It's impressive, man.
If he keeps that up per StatMuse, he would be only the 8th player ever with 3 or more steals per game. And would be the first player since 91 to do it.
That's impressive. I mean, even yesterday, I don't think he had that many chances for steals because he was told to stay at home on DeMar for most of the game. He obviously had that really difficult assignment against DeMar DeRozan, who was coming off a 46-point performance.
Yeah, first time yesterday.
Boston.
First time yesterday, I feel like that's the first time the Raptors like actually defended DeMar well.
Yeah, and defending DeMar was basically trapping him at half court,
Right.
like hard trapping him.
Nick Nurse special.
Luka style, you know what I mean? And you know what? That does show you the difference between a guy like Luka and a guy like DeMar, right? The Raptors sent those same doubles at Luka. What do you have, like 35-point triple-double or something? Right? DeMar, a little different story. Now, DeMar was able to get an and one every single trip down. I don't know how. Like, he only got free like 3 or 4 times, and he still managed to score 20 points.
Yeah.
But he did have 5 turnovers, so I thought OG did a really good job. But OG didn't even have a lot of steals in that game until the last 5 minutes where he comes up with 2 steals, and both of those for breakaway dunks. So, I think he's playing his role really well. I think he's really leaning into it. And I think, again, that's the thing for the coaching staff and maybe even for the leaders of the team to just like subtly sort of push him in this direction of, look, you can really thrive in this role. Like you can even score 20 without even having the ball to create all the time. Like the way I'm looking at it is like a Sean Marion in Phoenix back in the day, like it wasn't like they were like, hey, Sean, like let's clear out and get you some pick and rolls. But, he played within the flow. He's able to finish, possessions off of the plays made by other players. And he was able to, create points off of his defense and just his overall hustle and activity. So I think OG's playing his role perfectly. And, again, you just want to see the drives finished a little bit more. But at the same time, I mean, he is doing really well. Like, okay, so when you see OG drive and he gets to the paint, but then he struggles to finish from there, what do you think it is? Like, do you need? Is it he needs to kick out more? He needs to change up the way he finishes. He needs to slow down. What is it?
I don't know, man. It just looks really awkward every time.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
Maybe
that's fair.
just reps. Yeah, I don't know.
But
he's just a very awkward finisher.
Yeah,
I feel like we saw a couple of drives. There was like that one drive yesterday where like I think he should have went left. When he was at the basket. Like he just like everything is just very like not very coordinated when he gets
there. Right. You're saying that
whereas Fred gets there and he does everything properly except he's 5'10", right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer for
stories,
you. Don't ask me basketball questions, man.
Oh, okay. All right,
I ask the questions on here.
All right, you're going back to the host.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I know we're not talking about the Mavericks game. Yeah, kiss the mic. I know we're not talking about the Mavericks game, but I'm really glad Luka is not in the East because that's a LeBronto situation.
No, it gives me LeBronto flashbacks in the way he's controlling the game the whole time. He's so good.
My takeaway from the Mavs game was I'm so glad it's only twice a year, man, because
Luka will really smoke your whole team and then smoke a whole pack after the game, man. Luka legend, man.
They're calling him a Belmont mild.
You're looking at OG like he's hookah.
We haven't talked about Christian Koloko yet because we'll have Stefano of the Sporting News join us.
That's right.
In the second segment,
was another Asian person.
Where Real Asian Film Festival. Everybody check that out.
Oh, okay, sweet. Nice.
We're going to a film on Sunday. Well, I don't know if you are. We'll talk about it later this week.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, we'll talk about that in the second segment. So is that enough basketball talk for you? I'm sure you'll touch on Pascal's absence tomorrow as well with Blake Murphy.
We will touch on those things. Okay, so, last thing before we go.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to the veterans.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because Gary and Precious yesterday, not it. I don't know what was happening, but they were both different degrees of bad. Precious in that fourth quarter, missing a wide open corner three, then having the opportunity where he was right under the basket, the rebound is falling right to him.
Oh, brother.
He's open. He's just going to go up for the layup and finishes the putback. And this is during a point where the Bulls were going on a run led by Goran Dragic of all people. Like, it was bad vibes in the building. And the ball just slips through his whole body out of bounds. Like, it slips sliding off of him. And it's just like, what is going on with those two? So, you know what? They couldn't contribute to the game yesterday. And hopefully you see a better performance on them tonight when they have the rematch against the Bulls in Chicago this time. However, the Raptors have this luxury now of saying, okay, you guys aren't doing it. We can bring in Otto Porter and Thad Young.
I love Otto Porter, man.
Think of who the options would have been last year. If at this point in the season, on November 6th, all right, you're playing the Bulls, and two of your main rotation players are not producing for you, who would the replacements have been for Nick?
I don't know. Was Utah back from injury?
So it would have been Utah and Svi.
Oh, okay, right.
You know,
right,
like, so big improvement to turn to these two guys instead.
Yeah.
Thad coming in, making a whole bunch of hustle plays. He was like a plus 25 off the bench.
You're secretly promoting hustle play this whole segment, man. You've said it like 7 times.
It's a great name.
Thaddeus Young plus 25 in 16 minutes.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Remember
right?
that one play when he had Goran in the low post?
Oh, yeah.
And he put his hand up. He's like, yo, Fred, give me the ball. Fred's like, I'm going to swing this.
No. Honestly, there are some unfortunate post-ups. I don't mind Thad in the post because he's willing to pass it out. What's really unfortunate is there was a play in the fourth quarter. You really got to go back and look at this. But Scotty had the ball in the post, and he's attacking a guard. I'm like, oh, this is great, right? So he's at the high post trying to back down the guard or face up or whatever. But I'm like, this is a good situation. 5 seconds off the shot clock, Precious flashes into the low post on the same side of the floor. He's like, puts his hands like, yo. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not how basketball is played, man. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I understand the aggressiveness. I understand a duck-in. That wasn't a duck-in. That was a ruin your spacing moment. So those kind of plays when those guys are making those kind of mistakes, you need someone else to come in. Thad Young comes in, moves the ball nicely. Yep. The Raptors are playing a lot of horn sets. That involves a lot of passing out of the post. Yeah, okay, I know you love horn sets, right? So, he was able to distribute the ball, which, he has a skill set there. Mm-hmm. He's able to get in around the basket. The activity was high, 4 offensive rebounds, a couple of putbacks, just doing the right thing, being solid, right?
And he's a connector. You know what they are? The Connect Four, man. He's a Connect Four.
Okay.
You talk about stretch fours, Thad Young's a Connect Four.
I like that. Wow.
Yeah, damn.
That's pretty good.
One good thing a week.
All right.
Some random things before we go to break.
Okay.
Number one, as you pointed out yesterday, Nick Vucevic was wearing the same sneakers that you wear to hoop as you're wearing right now.
I'm wearing them right now, and I'm going to the court. I'm hoping to drop a cool Nick Vucevic at Ramsden Park at exactly 3:05 p.m.
Before the game, he's like, yo, look at Vucevic's shoes, man. They're the same ones I got. So you both shop at is there a Foot Locker at Duffer Mall? Like, so maybe Vucevic went to
this is tough.
Duffer Mall.
No, I mean
something like that.
I mean, I did get these from Duffer Mall. Actually. I'm not even joking.
I recently ordered Cinnabon on Uber Eats from Duffer Mall. So.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah,
All right.
I was watching Better Call Saul.
All right. But so the PGs are great. The PG4s are actually really comfortable.
Okay, man. You don't need to promote.
You don't want a performance review of
Nobody
the black
asked
and
for a
red
performance
colorway?
review.
All right, fine.
But no, it's it's awesome that an NBA player wears the same sneakers as you.
Vucevic was struggling at the start of the game too, so I was insisting those are my shoes, but no, they're Nick's shoes. He did finish with 18, 12, and 6.
Oh, that's right. Shouts to Alfred. He's a physiotherapist from Durham. Ran into him yesterday.
Oh yeah, pregame. Yeah, great DeMar custom jersey.
Yeah, told him we'd give him a quick shout out.
Yeah,
and went home for dinner this weekend, and my mom's an avid listener and watcher of the Raptors show. She really recently discovered that she can actually just watch it anytime, like on YouTube. Because before that, she'd been changing her entire schedule just to catch it at 2.
I do. Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, it is probably good for the ratings, so salute to your mom. But
okay. Mom,
second of all,
watch it later.
I do enjoy people from the older generation discovering some of the more conveniences that we have invented in their lifetime.
Yeah,
because it's just like a genuine joy. They're like, oh. Okay, there's a convenience element to this. I can watch it on the go.
No, because she's going back to Hong Kong for a little bit.
I have headphones. I don't need wires.
Yeah, she's going back to Hong Kong for a little bit. So then now she can just catch the episodes when she wants.
She's not going to stay up at 2 a.m. to watch.
Yeah, she stays up at 2 a.m. Here's Oren Weisfeld.
Yeah, so anyway, she had some
Oren
feedback.
She likes to review the guests. And she said Oren's a very kind, handsome gentleman.
I mean,
yeah,
pretty nice.
She was describing. I was like, talking about the guy on Wednesday?
Yeah, wow.
I'm like, Oren?
Yeah.
So it was Oren. And she was like, is Amy a traitor? Like, went to Miami. Yeah. I was like, no, Amy's cool. That's about it.
Thanks to your mom.
Oh my God!
Don't
do the don't do the Oren voice, man.
Yeah.
No one's got
because this is what Asian people. This is what good Asian sons do. Is on the weekends they spend their precious weekend time visiting their parents.
Yes.
So I did the same thing. Went home, had hot pot.
Yeah. Hey, I had hot pot too.
Wow. Okay.
We should have just hot potted together.
we probably could have. Yeah. Actually,
we could have saved a stove.
Oh,
Shouts to Gary Trent Sr.
That's right. Play elevator music. So we both went home on the weekend.
Yeah.
My grandpa, who was like well into his 80s now.
Yeah.
He was like also giving some feedback, and he's like, "You should be closer to the mic, like your co-host is."
And like I told you, sometimes I've been so close to the mic that I've kissed the mic as I'm speaking.
But
and you reminded me, there's 11 people who speak into this mic per day.
I was gonna say, man.
So, Kipper and Bourne coming up after us. Please wipe the mics. I was talking about Luka earlier, and I kissed the mic, man.
All right, enough, man.
All right, enough is enough. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Hump day coming soon. In 2
God,
days.
it's so good.
All right. I'm your host, Wolu. That's Alex Wong. You're listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We'll talk more Raptors after the break, I promise.
Tasty?
Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wim Liu. I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. And for the second segment, we are joined by Stefano of the Sporting News. Steph, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, this is great. Very rare to have three Asians on at the same time to talk about the Toronto Raptors. But Steph, you do really great work. I've been following you for a long time. Really, really good voice just across the league, but especially on the Chicago Bulls. And it's always good to bring in, I think, an impartial view of some of the Raptors as well, because you've been able to get a piece out about Christian Koloko and his defensive impact. And then, I'm sure you love it in these instances where the player makes the writer look really smart because they go out and block 6 shots. So this story is up on the Sporting News. It's called Raptors rookie Christian Koloko is already making Toronto's terrifying defense even better. And in the piece, you touch on his impressive rim protection. So obviously we see the 6 blocks, but what are some of the underlying numbers that's also telling the story about how Christian has improved the Raptors defense so far?
Well, first of all, thank you for calling me an impartial observer of the Raptors. That makes me feel a little bit better when I'm cheering at home, watching this team on my computer, because they've been so much fun to watch with Koloko out there. I mean, the way that he basically disrespected Patrick Williams last night, 3 blocks in a 2-minute span. One of those blocks, the first block, I mean, that was just unreal, the amount of distance that he traveled to basically stuff Patrick Williams a foot away from the rim. As far as getting back to your question, though, like some of the underlying statistics that I researched that were super impressive to me, the Raptors defense, when Koloko is on the floor, I mean, they've been playing better than the number 1 defense in the league.
Wow.
So that's the first point. The second point is, his rim protection is obviously the biggest thing he's bringing with this 7'5" wingspan. Opponents are shooting, I think it's like 53%, somewhere around there, at the rim with him guarding those shots, which is, I mean, that would be among the league leaders if that holds up. So yeah, he's just been amazing. Anytime anybody tries to challenge him there.
Yeah, and we definitely saw a lot of that yesterday, especially that first block, as you mentioned, because the Raptors' strategy defensively from Nick Nurse was just, we're going to trap DeMar DeRozan. We'll trap him above the three-point arc, even though obviously DeMar's not looking to pull up from the three-point arc, but we're basically just going to force him to get rid of the ball. But what that does is that you got to play 4-on-3 behind the ball. So you need your guys to be able to rotate. And more importantly, you need somebody to be able to go from the three-point line, trapping there to help at the basket for the block. So, it is really special. And I think, with Christian, are you a little bit surprised that he's able to have this immediate of an impact, right? Because I think for a lot of people thinking about it, it's a second-round pick. Bigs take a while to develop. These are sort of common tropes that, you hear all the time about young players. But for some reason, it seems like he's able to come in and not just like, be able to fit in and collect blocks by, standing at the basket and playing a specific kind of drop coverage or anything like that. But it seems like he actually has a really good awareness and timing for when to go for these challenges. And he's having an effect to the point where Nick has started him in 5 of the Raptors' first 10 games here.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, I'm not a big draft guy, so I didn't watch much of him at Arizona, but his counterpart, Dalen Terry, who the Bulls took, Dalen hasn't seen much of the floor. He got a little bit of playing time last night against the Raptors, and reporters asked Bulls coach Billy Donovan about that appearance, and Donovan was extremely lukewarm. He said, he played okay, but he missed a lot of rotations, and that's what rookies do. And I say that because, yeah, when I watch Koloko, you would have an expectation that he would basically have no idea what he's doing out there, as Dalen Terry has kind of had that experience. But like you mentioned, he seems to be mostly in the right spot at the right time. Amazing, given that he didn't start playing basketball, I believe, until he was 15, and not seriously until he was 17.
Yep.
But he just has such great tools. I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys who started out at a very young age playing soccer. They're able to move their feet so well. So even if Koloko's not in the exact perfect position, he's just able to recover so quickly. That's something that you can't teach. And I think that's what has this Raptors coaching staff so excited for him, and why he's earning minutes, which was, again, like you said, just very, very surprising development.
Yeah, no doubt. And, one thing you've also put out in your piece is that the Raptors are able to play Koloko and get more size on the floor, obviously, but they're not actually sacrificing some of the sort of signature versatility that you sort of come to expect from the Raptors defense. Can you sort of go in a little bit more about what's allowing the Raptors to go bigger without having to sacrifice mobility or versatility.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when you get these 7-footers, a lot of them are stiffs. Like you try to get them out on the perimeter. I mean, the Bulls are a good example with Nikola Vucevic. Like he's okay. He's probably better than his reputation suggests at
Mm.
going out there. But if you put him against a guard, I mean, you're gonna have to send help. Koloko, he's switched a lot onto faster perimeter players, and he's done a pretty good job of that. And yeah, the Raptors defense is just totally totally crazy under Nick Nurse. I don't know if you guys saw this viral tweet that was going around a couple days ago, but they played at least 11 different kinds
Oh
of
yeah,
coverages
against
against Luka
Luka.
Doncic the other
Yep.
night. And you guys were talking about the job that they did on DeMar. I mean, DeMar's been fantastic this season. He's had a bunch of huge scoring games. He had a 40+ point game a couple games ago before this, and the Raptors shut him down. They were doing a lot of different coverages. You all mentioned that, they were sending some hard doubles at him. They're also doing a box and one against him at times, which, has been kind of a Raptor specialty. But
Mhm.
the Bulls don't see those kinds of things. I mean, DeRozan gets doubled a lot. I just checked the stat today. He has the sixth most possessions where he's double teamed. Again, that's a great strategy for the Raptors because the Bulls are only scoring 96 points per 100 possessions, which is a terrible number. So expect to see that again tonight.
Mm.
But yeah, just that ability to throw different looks at these superstars because they're so good. You need to keep them on their toes. Koloko is able to do that where, you get some of these other huge guys with huge wingspans, like a Mo Bamba or something like that. And you just can't do that same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a portability, I think, to his skill set where you're able to sort of use him across different defensive matchups, and it's been interesting because a lot of times, like if you play a rookie this much early, you do have to sort of accommodate him defensively. It doesn't really feel like the Raptors trying to hide Koloko that much. They're not like worried about him getting on specific matchups. They're just essentially asking him to execute the defensive scheme. And to be honest, outside of fouling, there's no actual issues with how he's playing defense. I think, the other thing to think about is his offense, right? And right now his offense is mostly like limited to catching around the basket and trying to finish. To be honest, he hasn't even been that good at that at this current moment. He's talked about it, how he wants to go up a little stronger and convert a lot more of these layups into dunks and even just getting fouled on layups and stuff like that, just being more efficient around the basket. But I mean, when you're seeing his potential at that end, because look, the Raptors ultimately want everyone to be two-way players as well. He was able to crack double digits last night. I hope not all of that was just because they were playing pick and roll against Nick Vucevic. But what do you see in terms of his offensive potential, and does that define his ceiling potentially even more than what he can do on the defensive end?
Well, again, I didn't watch a ton of him in college, but I do know that he had some problems shooting free throws. Like in his first couple years, he
Mhm.
got a little bit better the year before he came into the draft, and then this year, I don't have the stats in front of you. I think he's like around 50% for the Raptors. So the
Yeah.
jump shot is definitely a little bit of a work in progress, but you can't teach the kind of athleticism that he has. I mean, they were just lobbing it up to him, letting him go up and get it, and he's just putting a bunch of the Bulls in the basket. It was a little bit painful to watch as a former Bulls fan. I guess I'm not allowed to root for the team anymore,
Oh,
but
don't
I
worry. Don't worry.
mean,
We know what it is.
yeah, yeah, you guys know. But
Yeah.
yeah, like the ability. I know he hasn't been fantastic at converting those attempts yet, but the
Yeah.
ability to just go up and get it, I think that's like the first real sign that you want to see from a player like this. And as I said before, he's so raw. Like he didn't start playing basketball until fairly recently.
Mhm.
So as long as he can get those shots, you can work on developing a little bit more of touch and finishing and stuff like that later.
Yeah, and it's having talked to Christian a few times this season and talked to his coach at Arizona as well. He has the secret project he's been working on. It's the pick and pop three. I think he maybe tried one last night. Yes, he tried one last night. He also tried one against Dallas. I mean, they have not come close yet, but I think that's also another area where he's looking maybe down the line 2-3 years, where if he's able to make that in addition to converting a decent rate, because look, there's a lot of like catch and finish kind of lob target bigs in the NBA. There's a lot of examples of that, but if you can also pair the 3-point shooting, that'd be great. Steph, I also wanted to talk about the Bulls as well, and sort of get to know more about this team, because obviously the Raptors are playing them again tonight. When you think about a rematch and what Billy Donovan might look to do differently tonight in hoping to, win one back against the Raptors, sort of what do you think he will try to do differently based on watching the film from yesterday's game?
Well, I think the biggest thing that Donovan was harping on after the first game was the Raptors just shredded the Bulls on the offensive glass. They had 23 rebounds.
Mm.
And a lot of that was due to Andre Drummond being out. He's doubtful again. So that's going to continue to be a problem. The Bulls play small at a lot of different positions.
Yeah.
Javonte Green has been playing a ton of minutes at power forward for them, and he's only 6'3".
Right.
So there's not really there's no like magic formula to being able to beat this Raptors team when they're just they're so long. I mean, everybody has talked about that nonstop, and with the Bulls missing some of that important size, there's just not really that much they can do.
Hmm. I did notice that probably towards the fourth quarter, they were sending more double teams at Fred VanVleet and even occasionally at Scotty Barnes. Are the Bulls that kind of team, like defensively, where they try to put a lot of pressure on the opposing ball handler and show to and be willing to rotate?
Well, they do have some very good athletes, and they have a bunch of guys who are in the top 15 in deflections per
Okay.
game.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have. Sorry, what was that?
No, I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously they have Alex Caruso, who, everybody always talks about his defensive impact, but Javonte Green is another guy that doesn't get nearly enough credit for being disruptive, and he's also, top 15 in the league in steals per 36 minutes.
Hmm.
So those two guys can really cause havoc. I mean, obviously, you you guys know from watching DeMar that he's not the most defensively inclined guy, so they do have to kind of mask a lot of the mistakes that he makes. And LaVine also, I think he's like pretty average these days at defense. I believe he's questionable, so it's like 50-50 if he's going to play in this one.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
yeah, to answer your question, as long as Dragic isn't in there, Dragic, I mean, he's still a good offensive contributor, but
Yeah.
his days of being able to stay in front of people are kind of behind him. As long as he's not in there, yeah, the Bulls can be pretty active defensively, scrambling and trying to cause havoc on the perimeter.
Right, right. And I think, you saw the effects of that at times, against like a guy like Gary Trent, for example, who has had good games against Chicago, but, there are some pretty pesky perimeter defenders. It's just that soft underbelly, I feel like. I think I'm curious to think, like, what's the Bulls sentiment right now on a guy like Nick Vucevic, who they obviously made a big trade to go get, sacrificed some pieces to go get. Clearly a guy who can produce offensively, but defensively, like, look, listen, if Koloko is able to catch a few lobs and dunk around you that often, or if the Raptors are able to, like, get Fred and pick and roll against them going downhill and force rotations all the time, like, there has to be some sort of compromise with what he's giving up defensively. So I'm curious in terms of just, like, what do Bulls fans feel about Nick right now, and are they just happy with him? Are they lukewarm with him? Where are fans with Nick Vucevic in particular?
So they gave up a lot to get him, and Wendell Carter was one of the pieces, another draft pick that ended up being Franz Wagner. So obviously that trade
Right.
is looking terrible. The Bulls also have one more pick going out to the Magic this season.
Wonderful.
And Vucevic was pretty bad last season. All of his shooting percentages were way, way down. Defensively, again, I think he's average, which is better than what his reputation suggests. But
Mhm.
average, I mean, you're getting him for his offensive impact. And this season, to answer your question, he's been significantly better. Still not at that all-star level. And in fairness to him, his role is different with this Bulls team. Whereas in Orlando, he was the man. They're running stuff through him in the post. He doesn't do that at all anymore. Like you'll see him a
Right.
lot on the perimeter, facilitating stuff in these delay action sets where he gets the ball top of the key and guys are cutting and he's setting screens for DeMar out there. Yeah, a lot of his game these days is just as like a pick and pop 3-point shooter. They do post him up a little bit still, but if he's not contributing a huge number on offense, just like dropping a lot of points, then his impact is pretty limited.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching that matchup against the Raptors over the years because he's had some pretty monster games. I remember the Raptors in their championship season lost a game to Orlando at that time by 29 points, where Vucevic had a 30 and 19. So it is kind of different watching him in a different environment. Obviously, he's I guess third in the pecking order. Real quickly, actually, so what's going on with LaVine? I know he had the offseason surgery and he re-signed and everything like that, but it to me, obviously, I'm not watching every single game like this that closely, so I haven't even seen a single moment of Zach LaVine so far this year. What's the status with him? Not just tonight, but just in general right now as he works his way back.
Yeah, it came as a pretty big surprise because this surgery was supposed to fix everything, and then he started out the year missing a couple games.
Okay.
It seems like it's just going to be a thing where they have to manage his time throughout the year, and he hasn't quite looked the same as he did last year. Now his numbers are still pretty good, but he has self-admittedly been driving a lot less. He's been dunking a lot less, so you're going to see him. I mean, his shot is still amazing. You're going to see him pulling up from three more, pulling up from the mid-range more, and I mean, obviously that makes him a lot less dangerous of a player because he is so fantastic
Mm.
at getting downhill, and his body control is amazing too, finishing at the lane. There are nights where it seems like his knee is not bothering him as much, and he does look like that old Zach LaVine. But yeah, for the most part, he's been a little bit more tentative out there.
All right. Well, hopefully he's able to get back because he is one of the most fun players to watch when he's on and healthy. So, Steph, thank you for joining us on the show. You can find all your work at the Sporting News. Also, a great follow on Twitter as well. And yeah, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Next time I come on here, we're gonna shoot for 4 Asians. Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll have to find the elusive fourth Asian in the Raptors basketball space.
Let's do it.
All right. Alex,
So,
what's up, man?
was good.
Did you enjoy that interview as you sat here silent for 20 minutes?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It's great, man. Always love, listening to the true hoopers, just talk
Oh, yeah.
ball.
That was a true Hooper kind of segment. I love when Steph's just casually slipping in. They're running delay sets. I'm like,
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
So have you seen the guy in Philadelphia who's eaten 40 rotisserie chickens in 40 days?
Wow, this is a hard pivot, man. There's actually, I saw there's like a flyer, like a pin tool, like a post.
Yeah, so he went
I thought
to
it was a joke, though.
So he went to this like abandoned pier and a bunch of people showed up. It became an event because it was his 40th day straight of eating a rotisserie chicken.
Okay, so first off, rotisserie chicken, an excellent choice.
But for 40 days, though?
Okay, for 40 days is obviously nuts. But, I mean, like, that might be the best bang for your buck
Okay, man.
meal
no,
in the entire city.
I'm not asking you if this is a good discount.
Oh, okay. But they're usually like $8 for a whole rotisserie chicken. You could probably feed your whole family with that. Just make some rice, like cook some vegetables. Like that could be a $10 meal easily. Food Basics. By the way, you just check it out.
Yeah. So
okay,
40,
it's fine. It's $8.90. All right.
Yeah, Derek Brandeau's in our ear, getting mad at our rotisserie chicken
He's just
pricing.
curious about where these discounts
Yeah.
are. No, it's the best value meal. Anyway, yeah. So he's eating 40 of these.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Why is it? Why
Congratulations
in an
to him.
abandoned pier though?
I don't know. It's just like an open area for a crowd to gather. So it was like a big event. I should think about what food item I could eat for 40 straight days.
Can you at least do the Big Mac challenge, but 40 Big Macs in 40
I can't
days?
because I started talking about it when I was like 33, and I'm 38.1 now.
We should get ramen, the three of us.
I'm li-
CHFI.
my age is literally Fred's minutes, man.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I don't want to lose you on this show, man.
And now it's time for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. William Liu, the line for tonight's game at Bet Rivers, the Raptors are playing the Chicago Bulls once again, this time in Chicago. Tip-off is 8:45 p.m., so everybody remembers. The line at Bet Rivers, Raptors are +4, so they're getting 4 points as the underdog, second half of a back-to-back on the road. Who do you like and why?
I feel like I'm leaning Chicago side for once.
Oh, this is a shocker.
Yeah, I know pregame I did say that I was going to go with the Raptors as always, but I'm just thinking about it. Like, it's really hard to take these back-to-back kind of series.
Okay.
Like, we already saw it. We couldn't take 2 against Philly. We couldn't take 2 against Miami, right? So it's tough on that front. It was interesting to hear Steph in our previous interview because I asked him, like, hey, what do you think they'll do differently in terms of Billy Donovan changing the defense? And he's like, nah, I don't know. Probably nothing because they're not that versatile. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I do expect them to play the Raptors very differently in the second time around. I think that's the big pattern that you're seeing, right? Like when the Raptors played the Heat in back-to-back games, they played differently in those 2 games. When Philly played the Raptors in back-to-back games, they played very differently, obviously, with Embiid out. So you do expect a tactical change coming from the Bulls because I didn't think that they should feel super thrilled about the way they guarded Fred VanVleet, for example. And so to me, it seems like they'll probably trap Fred more. Fred will have a harder time getting his shots off. If Scotty's unable to overcome this ankle injury in the last 24 hours, which I mean, I don't think it's reasonable. He's not like Wolverine. So if he's not able to take on the extra play creation, you're really going to need guys like Precious and Gary to step up and knock down their threes. Gary, I could trust doing that. I know Gary obviously can be up and down, but we know when he's up, he can score 30. He's had 30-point games against Chicago last year. Precious, not trusting him too much right now at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know. It does seem like a game where they can make some adjustments. They know that the Raptors are going to trap DeMar. They're going to continue to trap DeMar because they held him to 9 shots and 5 turnovers last game. But you could probably expect the Bulls to move the ball just a little bit better, knowing that these traps are coming and having a whole at least shoot around to sort of prepare for this strategy. And then also, I think on their front, I mean, if Bill Donovan has, some coaching shops, he should probably change up how he plays the Raptors defensively, which probably will feature a lot of blitzing of Fred because he is the Raptors' main playmaker right now. So, and he's small, so you do want to blitz him to trap him. Not to say that this is what the Bulls should do. I'd much rather for the Raptors to win this game and everyone to make money on Raptors +4, but I think I kind of like Chicago here, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I think you make really good points. And, this is one of those games on the schedule where it feels like, like house money if the Raptors are able to get this.
I'd be thrilled if the Raptors won this game, yeah.
Yeah, so, and you would expect a bounce back from DeMar, too. I don't think DeMar really had, like, a spectacular game.
I think they can have different ways. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you know that they're going to trap and double, right? So probably use DeMar in different ways. Get him more off ball. Come around the screen. It's a little harder to trap him like that.
Okay.
Again, but I'm not Billy Donovan and the coaching staff. I actually genuinely don't want them to do this.
Yeah.
Don't listen to this,
No,
Billy.
these
Chinese Nick Nurse.
These are great
him.
points. And by the way, there's all 30 teams are playing tonight. 15 games
That's right.
on the schedule. So if you don't like betting on Raptors Bulls, may I suggest the Orlando Magic at home -4.5 hosting the Houston Rockets.
Name 5 players on the Magic right now.
Bull, that counts as 2. I think I really like the way Orlando's playing at home this year.
Okay.
And
The
also,
Amway Center effect.
I like the Pacers +5.5 at home against the New Orleans Pelicans. I think the Pacers have been in close games all season, and they've actually been really good on the betting side. And if you're looking at 7-game teasers, again, you can shift the odds. You can shift the spread 7 points either way. If you want to shift the Pacers from 5.5 to 12.5, I think that's a good bet as well. So that was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. Damn. Blake Murphy, Tuesday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Joseph Casharo, Joe Wolfon on Wednesday.
Yep.
I'll see you Thursday.
Well, you have been in 6 days straight, so that's pretty impressive. So that does it for us today. I'm your host, Willow. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to producer and co-host Alex Wong, Stefano of The Sporting News, our board producer Derek Brandejo, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping us with the YouTube stream. We'll be back tomorrow. Ooh, I love when I go in that twister mode.
No, me. Me actually talking again.